All right, good morning, everybody. Today I'd like to welcome Jenetta from Prescription Foods. So welcome, Jenetta, and thank you so much for joining us today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's an honor to be interviewed by you, Kelly.
Thank you very much. So could you actually do a little bit of introduction about yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and then also your company?
Okay. My name is Jenetta Mammedova. The last name is a Soviet last name because I come from Turkmenistan. It's a former Soviet Union republic. And I've been in the U.S. for almost 12 years now. And I started the company Prescription Foods about 2 years ago. It will be 2 years in August. And it's based in our own home. We make all fermented foods in the house. And the name Prescription Foods came from the idea that instead of taking your probiotics in a pill or capsule form, you actually eat the foods that contain them. That's why they're called prescription foods. So instead of saying, go take this bottle of probiotics, we say, go eat this jar of kimchi or kraut or cultured beets or whatever, someone wants to purchase. And the business, we have 5 products that we feature, and they're all vegan, no animal byproducts, and they are all dairy-free because they're vegan, and their intention is to help people heal their guts and help people heal from the food allergies and food sensitivities that a lot of people have now, and especially children.
Yep.
So the business actually started from our own healing journey. My son and I have been on a gut healing diet for almost 6 years now, and so we start, and a big part of our gut healing diet is introducing fermented foods. And so we start making fermented foods to heal ourselves. And after 4 years of making them on a regular basis, we came up with the idea to share it with the world because our friends would ask them and we would give them for free as a gift. And then they said, well, we want to have it on a constant basis. So the idea came out and the business was started, and now it will be almost 2 years soon.
That's wonderful. It's wonderful. So talk about gut healing, because it's, some people may understand and have been through where they're healing their own gut, but then other people may not understand what that means. So can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, of course. So gut health is basically our gut, which is our small intestines and intestines, contain good and bad bacteria. I will make it as simple as possible. And so we are supposed to have more good bacteria to be healthy than the bad bacteria. In my case, what happened is I had to take an antibiotic for 4 months, and it killed the bad and the good bacteria.
Yeah.
So, and when the good bacteria diminish, and they should be more than the bad bacteria, what happens is the bad bacteria take over and start causing all the health issues. And in my case, it caused a leaky gut, which is when you don't have the right amount of good bacteria in your gut, it creates holes in your intestines that let the food out that should not be in your bloodstream, and then the immune system starts going crazy because it's like, what is this? Then food becomes something your immune system starts fighting against.
Wow.
And that leads to food sensitivities and food allergies and food intolerances. So to heal that condition, which is called the leaky gut or the permeable gut, you have to replenish your gut with the bacteria that was lost. And how you do it, first you remove all the foods that your immune system is attacking, like your immune system finds as an invader or as something that's doing you harm. And then you also add things like L-glutamine for vegans, or bone broth or gelatin for people who consume animal products to heal and seal those holes. And then the biggest part is to bring back all the lost bacteria with the help of probiotics, meaning like in a capsule or powder form, or through food. And what we did with my son and I, we brought it in through food. And then that helps to heal and seal the holes, bring back all the good bacteria, and bring the body back to balance. And that's like in a short version of gut healing.
That's
and
amazing.
Then, when you remove all those foods that your body was responding negatively to, eventually your body forgets and all the antibodies get cleared out, so your body then can take back in those foods and not react negatively.
Wow.
So, and my son was diagnosed with a lot of food allergies, multiple food allergies, but thank God, he can tolerate some of the foods that we removed, and some of the foods we still avoid.
So what were some of the foods that you found really affected you that you had to basically like eliminate for a long time, or maybe even eliminate altogether?
Yeah, big three, I think I will probably stay away from them for the rest of my life, is gluten,
Yep.
dairy, and sugar. And then came GMO corn, GMO soy, those things. And I had to be careful with nuts at the beginning, but now I don't have to. I just stay away from fungus, like peanuts and pistachios also I have to be careful with. And then some eggs, we couldn't tolerate eggs either. We couldn't have them either. Now we can, but we still keep cautious that they have to be from chickens that were not fed gluten or some other, food that our body doesn't like. So we source them from, chickens that were not fed gluten as well. So we can have them without, experiencing, like I would get really fatigued or get like OCD symptoms or get like this anxiety from eating them.
Wow.
Psychological issues along with physical symptoms. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That is amazing. So how did you learn? It sounds like you've done a lot of research and things, but how did you really learn that, that you had this gut issues and leaky gut and moved into the whole fermenting? How did you do that?
Okay. So it all started after I took an antibiotic, as I had explained, and then what happened is 2 months after I started taking an antibiotic, I ended up gaining 15 pounds without changing my diet and without changing my exercise routine, and I had no idea why it was happening. I also started experiencing yeast infections, like vaginal yeast infections, and then also some skin issues and also psychological issues. That was the biggest part of it, which really scared the hell out of me because like especially the paranoia, anxiety I developed, and also just I am a very social person. And what happened is I started avoiding people, and I started having a hard time having an eye contact with people, and I started losing interest in being just out and about.
That's amazing.
It was against my nature. I was like, what's wrong with me? I'm not like that. And also, like, depression started creeping in, and then some sleep issues too. And I just couldn't figure it out until after I stopped taking the antibiotic. I reached out to my friend, naturopathic doctor, and she tested me, and she found out that I was dealing with severe yeast overgrowth. So what happened is the antibiotic killed off the bacteria to the point that the yeast, which is benign when it's in a small amount in your gut, which is supposed to coexist with the rest of the bacteria, it took an opportunity to overgrow and become pathogenic. And it caused leaky gut in my system. So my body was basically dealing with a lot of food sensitivities that I didn't know, on top of like fighting against yeast And all those toxins that he excretes were poisoning my brain. So when you have a leaky gut, all those toxins that come from food or from the environment or from the yeast that's constantly excreting mycotoxins, they poison your brain. And then, that's what caused the psychological issues as well. So I started healing, and 3 months after being like on gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free diet, plus the supplements that my doctor prescribed, I started feeling like myself. But then I got pregnant with my son, so I had to stop all the treatment. And then he was born, and throughout the pregnancy, I watched my diet. I ate quite well, but by the end of the pregnancy, I started feeling really good, so I became loose. And then he came, I'm like, yeah, the baby's out now, I can, play a bit. And, the diet went out of the window. And I had no idea that once you develop that condition to that severity, you have to be careful with the foods you intake in for the rest of your life. You can't go back. And I went back to eating refined starches and sugars, and it really fed the yeast. And after he was born, 6 weeks later, I started feeling like crap again, and he started showing signs of gut dysbiosis. Gut dysbiosis basically is the imbalance of the good and the bad bacteria. And then that's when I started researching and trying to figure out what's wrong with me, because all those symptoms are creeping back in, plus fatigue came. And I thought it was because the baby was not sleeping through the night and all of that. But then when he started sleeping better, I still had to deal with the problems. And that's when I was like, oh my goodness, this is something more serious. So when he was about 2 months old, he started having eczema and skin rashes and green frothy stool, some blood in his stool, and just impossible to handle. He was so irritable. Baby who was sleeping 2-3 hours for a nap would not sleep even for 20 minutes unless he was on me, unless we were holding him. Just so many things. Like, he became really sensitive to touch and to light and to sound. I thought that someone just changed my baby within a few weeks. And since I had a 4-year-old, I knew that these things were not normal. So I kept bringing it up to the pediatrician, and he just kept shaking it off, saying, like, you're just a worried mother, don't worry about these things. I'm like, no, this is not something normal. I never had to deal with these issues with my first child. There's something wrong with this kid. So I started doing my own research. I went online, I asked people around, and I found out that dairy could be the culprit for his green frothy stools and his eczema. So I removed the dairy out of my diet because he was exclusively breastfed, and the green frothy poops plus the blood in his stool just went away within 3 days. And then eventually his skin started clearing up. Then I was like, hold on a second, I'm on to something. Let's go and do more research. And this information started coming into my life. And then I ran into body ecology diet. I just, when I was researching, I said, I immediately borrowed the book from the library. And once I started reading the book, from the first pages, I realized, okay, this is it. This is what we have to do. We're dealing with yeast overgrowth, we're dealing with gut dysbiosis, we're dealing with food sensitivities and allergies. This is what's going to help us. So that's how I got onto, implementing the body ecology diet and then introducing fermented foods into our diet. And once I start really seeing the healing benefits and the healing we experience, then I got passionate about exploring it even more, and then eventually sharing with people around, and showing that this is what you need to do to feel better. My son is 6.5, over 6.5, and he's been on a gut healing diet for over 6 years now, and he's healed from many, many issues. He was diagnosed with food allergies, multiple food allergies, and then heavy metal toxicity and immune dysregulation when his immune system was not functioning well and actually attacking its own cells, like his body cells, like it's called autoimmunity. And then he had nutritional deficiencies. He had hypotonia, which means low muscle tone. When it's kind of like, I would describe it in the most simple way, child's fatigue. Like it's a fatigue that we experience as adults, but children experience. So their muscles do not work the way they should. So he was behind when it came to his growth motor skills. With like when you compared with his peers, he was behind. So we had to do physical therapy for that, along with the diet, along with the supplements, along with everything we were doing. Yeah, a lot of healing had to get done for him to become the one he is now. So now he doesn't have all those issues, but we still continue on with the diet, with the body ecology diet, and 95% we stick to it. 5% we can now deviate from it, and we don't experience the same symptoms we used to experience.
Wow.
So, but my ultimate goal is to get to the point that we can eat the junkiest food on earth, but still feel amazing. But it doesn't mean that we'll go back to eating, unhealthy foods, because we really enjoy the healthy eating brings to us. But I want our bodies to get back to the balance where we can tolerate anything and not feel any negative symptoms afterwards,
Well, you're an amazing mother.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, to listen to the doctor and have, them telling you you're just a young mother, you're not understanding, things will go okay, and then to go and do all the research and heal your son and yourself, it's amazing. It's an amazing story.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, I was led, I believe I was led by the higher power to do it. It was, the information, every time when I would have a question, information would come to me on time. So throughout my whole journey, I felt that I was led. Like it wasn't me, but I was led to do what I did. So
it's great, though. That's a good thing.
Yeah. To feel that you're led and guided, it's an amazing feeling. Yeah. But it gives you a sense of security for sure.
So talk a little bit more about fermenting. So like some of the steps and how did you learn and all that kind of thing.
So when we started healing, I was really weak because I developed chronic fatigue syndrome. I'm free of it now, and now I'm up and going as I was before, an Energizer bunny. So the first thing that we did was the most simple thing that we introduced was sauerkraut, and I can show you the
Love
sauerkraut.
To see it.
Can you see it from there?
A little higher.
Okay. Like that?
Yep, perfect.
Yeah. So it's a sauerkraut and our kraut. So we start making it with just, in my home country when I was growing up, we would make fermented foods. And the most simple one was sauerkraut, which is, ours has carrots in it and cabbage. So we just added kale, our own addition, my husband and I. So my husband, since I was too weak to make anything, all I could do was just make food, and I would eat and feed the boy and then rest and then again make food. I spent hours in the kitchen because I was too weak to do anything else. And so I would sleep and cook, sleep and cook, sleep and cook. That's what my day was like. And I had to sleep for 14, 15 hours a day to be able to function. And not like 14, 15 hours at a time, but during the day, like I had to take breaks and sleep. So my husband started making sauerkraut. And once, like 3 months after, once I started regaining my strength back, then according to body ecology, you are to introduce like fermented coconut products to really heal. And so then I got into making, this is called Kefir. It's our brand name, but it's actually young coconut young Thai coconut water, but it's fermented. So you introduce kefir cultures to it and make coconut water kefir out of it, which helps to get the probiotics that you would normally get from milk kefir into your gut and heal it. And the beauty of this product is that it has beneficial yeast in it because we use Body Ecology kefir starter. It has beneficial yeast in it that helps to get rid of the excess bad yeast and establish the good yeast into your gut. And then, and it's a big one when it comes to sugar cravings. If you crave a lot of sweets, a lot of sugar, and it's yeast making you crave those foods in you. So you bring this balm into your diet and then it helps. So young coconuts look like this,
Neat.
And we buy them by case and we open them, extract water, and we ferment water into kefir. And then they also have meat in it. So the meat we take out, we blend with filtered water and make it into coconut milk and then ferment that into yogurt. But we call it Kogurt.
Kogurt.
Which is coconut.
That's cute.
Coconut yogurt. Yeah. We weren't allowed to put it on the label as Kogurt. Unfortunately, I don't have the sample, but it looks like yogurt. And people who eat, I don't remember how milk yogurt tastes like at this point because I haven't been eating it for years now. But people who eat both, they say like it kind of tastes like Greek yogurt. So it becomes thick and it's much lighter, I think, because it doesn't have as much saturated fat. It has plant-based fat, so it's lighter and it's sour, basically sour yogurt pudding-like consistency. And it also has kefir cultures in it instead of yogurt cultures, because kefir cultures, they contain about 7 different strains, and yogurt, I think, 3 to 5 different strains. So it's considered more healing because it has more strains in it. And then eventually my husband started experimenting by making kimchi.
Yeah.
And then he just started experimenting, and then he came up with a recipe that became everyone's favorite. And then that's another thing. And then Body Ecology also recommends culturing vegetables. And vegetables, this is a garlic beets, it's called. It's basically red cabbage, carrots, what else is in there? Beets and garlic. Wow. So they're all cultured. So the difference, I showed you a bunch of these. So there are wild ferments here and also cultured foods. So there is a difference between wild ferments and cultured foods. Kefir and cultured beets, like as you saw, these are cultured foods because you introduce a culture starter when you ferment them. Whereas kimchi and sauerkraut, those are called wild fermentation foods because you just use sea salt as a medium to ferment them. So that's the biggest difference between cultured foods and wild fermented foods.
Wow.
And Milo and I, my son's name is Milo. Milo and I really had to stick to cultured foods at the beginning because when you have a real unhealthy gut flora, you want to stick to cultured foods because you know what you're getting into your gut. You know what strains are coming into your gut. Whereas with wild ferments, the nature dictates what is coming into them. So, and sometimes it can pick up something in the air that you don't want in your gut while your body is healing. So now we can eat wild ferments without any problems. But then we really had to stick to the cultured foods. Yeah.
So what's your kitchen look like?
Do you want to see it?
So your kitchen, do you have like tons of things going and fermenting and all that, or?
Usually yes. Right now I don't, which is unusual to us. I don't have anything going. for some reason. But today I'm fermenting I'm making more Kogurt and Kefir. And then what we make is we make big batches of vegetables and jar them, and we have a fridge downstairs that we keep the products in there. And then we now have 3 stores. We start first selling from home, then moved to the farmer's market. Now we have stores that carry them, so little by little. Yeah.
Congratulations.
And thank you. So we have a fermentation closet, we call it, where when we ferment, we keep our ferments there. I also use our oven when I need higher temperature, so then I can turn the oven light on. And but the weather is getting nice now, so I will probably mostly use the fermentation closet because with the difference between the biggest difference with the wild ferments and cultured foods is that with cultured foods you have to keep certain temperature to ferment them, whereas with wild ferments you don't need to do that. You just let the nature dictate how long they're going to take to ferment, whereas with the cultured foods, I have to keep them between 70 and 75 Fahrenheit. So that's when my husband, made this little fermentation kit for me where I can read the temperature. So I'll use the oven to read the temperature. Or my dehydrator, I will remove the trays and then put that temperature reader in it, and that's how I will regulate the temperature and do that. But he's looking into building me a bigger fermentation, closet. Not closet, he's going to turn a freezer, basically, that doesn't work into a bigger fermentation vessel.
Gotcha.
Where I could put, multiple things at the same time and not engage our oven or dehydrator, because I have usually dehydrator going with other things.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
yeah.
So when you were saying that you've got all these vegetables that are going, do you pick up like all types of different vegetables other than just the beets that you were showing and ferment those?
Well, in summer we experiment a lot because the farmer's market is in season in summer. So in summer we ferment hot peppers and then we make hot sauce out of them. In summer we also buy pickles and make lacto-fermented pickles, not regular pickles, because regular pickles actually feed the yeast because they have the white vinegar and the sugar in them, and no probiotics in regular pickles. So that's the biggest difference, because the white vinegar actually kills the good bacteria.
Wow.
So, and the pickling actually involves adding sugar and white vinegar, whereas lacto-fermentation, you just use water and sea salt, and you make your own pickles, and they're raw, they're not pasteurized, they're not dead, you don't add sugar, and you actually get probiotics from lacto-fermented pickles. So other things we do, we will buy tomatoes and make salsa, fermented salsa, we love that. And then, and just if we see some vegetables that we find, like for example, if we have more cauliflower than we need, or more radish than we need, or more carrots than we need, we'll make a big brine and add all those vegetables in and let them ferment. Instead of pickling, we let them ferment.
Nice.
Because as I explained, pickling does not do any good to the food.
Yeah.
It actually kills all the goodness in them. So, and then we'll eat, fermented garlic and carrot sticks and cauliflower, and kids will have them as snacks.
Nice.
And one of the biggest things we do if we travel, we actually seek to try fermented foods wherever we go. So we'll try kimchi here, kimchi there, or kraut here, kraut there. So it's just a fun thing to do, and kids are used to it now. They're like, I want to try that kimchi. So, which is fun. Like for us, looking for fermented foods in other places. Like we went to Canada in summer and we found 2 different kimchis at 2 different places, and we brought them with us. And the kids loved it, it's like, we want Canada kimchi, so that's the candy for kids, for our kids, because Milo has never actually had in his entire life regular candy because he couldn't. And for him, like, it's just he's curious, but he doesn't have that emotional connection sugar gives you, like sugar high, his brain does not know that. So he's like looks at it neutrally, but he's curious to try it because he's just a child, but definitely. So he was spared from that. Whereas I grew up eating a lot of sugar,
We all did.
Yeah, I know what it tastes like, I know. But thank goodness, since I started, healing the gut, I don't crave sugar at all. It really helped to bring that beast down, and I really enjoy sour and savory foods a lot.
So do you think, like there's all this food addiction. Everybody's talking about food addictions out there, the three, the sugar, the oil, and the salt. Do you think that having fermented foods and stuff would actually help with the cravings and people wanting those type of things?
Yeah. Big time. Because when I gave up sugar, it made me depressed. I am serious. Like for about 6 months, I had to deal with these emotional issues where I would actually cry if I couldn't eat something that I could eat before. And I realized how much joy I was actually receiving from unhealthy foods, how much, I was dependent on feeling emotionally good on those foods. And it's like, oh my goodness, these foods that do harm to my body actually controlled me, controlled the way I felt about the world, about my life, about just in general, about everything. And I actually felt a sense of freedom once I got over them, once I got over those cravings. And as I said, so the biggest benefit of fermented foods that they take away those cravings. They take away your desire to eat unhealthy foods, foods that you normally enjoyed before don't taste as good to you anymore. Because they really change your gut flora. So you crave the foods because the bad bacteria in your gut want to survive. So you cannot trust your cravings. You need to eat what your body needs, not what your body wants. And you have to involve some mind work there as well. It's not only to go with whatever. But the beauty with that, once you start healing your gut and replenishing the gut flora with good bacteria, what happens is you start actually wanting good food. Like you want salads, you want broccoli, you want, nuts instead of going for a piece of cake, You are satisfied. Like my treat is just a little bit of almond butter with some celery sticks. That's a treat for me. I love it. Like almond butter is so sweet to me now, even though without added sugar, just on its own. And celery gives that watery, salty taste. So
crunch.
It's like, wow. It's like eating chocolate-covered pretzels without all the sugar and the bread in it. It's like the crunch and the saltiness in the celery, and then the sweetness of almond butter. It's just, and I'm so grateful that I had to go through this experience. At the beginning, I was miserable, yes, but now I am so happy that I had to go through it, and I trained my body to like and enjoy healthy foods. Like I get excited if I have a cup of tea. Like I love herbal teas, and then celery sticks with almond butter. That's like my comfort time where I can just sit down and relax and just have tea and just read a book or talk to a friend. And I don't need a piece of cake. I don't need a cupcake. I don't need ice cream that's filled with sugar. Like that. I really enjoy having healthy foods. But it involves work. You can't just wake up one day and be like, I'm getting off of sugar. No, such a strong addiction that people have to break away from. It's actually, as you know, they believe that sugar is more addictive than cocaine.
True.
And you have to, and my friends who try to give it up, I say, you cannot go back. Once you give it up, that's it. You know, it's like an alcoholic. You don't go back, you know? You just continue on and you try new things. And at the beginning, I had to use a lot of stevia to curb those cravings, like lemonades made with stevia helped a lot, or 100% cranberry juice with like Saute water or whatever, like mineral water, a little bit of stevia would help me. Like things that not feed yeast, but help your body to go through those cravings. But now I love just lemon squeeze in my water without any stevia. You know, you start really seeing that your body doesn't crave sugar anymore. You start enjoying sour foods, you know, later on. So you just have to stick to it. You cannot give in. Yeah.
It's interesting. So kimchi. So there's lots of kimchi that you can buy in the stores. You know, Whole Foods has it, Natural Grocers, all of your local grocery stores. Is that the same of like what you've got? Is it, or is it different?
So the biggest difference that our kimchi has, it's vegan. So it doesn't have the fish sauce or anchovy paste that normally traditional kimchis do have. So I'm not sure if Whole Foods carries vegan one. Maybe it does now, but before it didn't. It had either fish sauce or anchovy paste in it. So that's the biggest difference of our kimchi. Another one is that we don't add sugar. And a lot of kimchis now add sugar. And I understand it gets eaten up by the bacteria, but there is no need for sugar.
True.
The vegetables have their own sugars that the bacteria use to feed off of. Like, even vegetables have sugar. Cellulose, you know, but it's good sugar for you. Like, it's not bad sugar. So the bacteria just eat up the sugars in the vegetables, and that's enough food for them to grow. So you don't need added sugar. So that would be the biggest advantage of the kimchi that we have for people who avoid animal products, you know.
Okay. That's interesting where they're putting sugar in it, which kind of goes back to that whole sugar, salt, fat, you know, and the oils and stuff. So they're thinking that it has to have, you know, that you have to have that sugar and the salt and stuff for people to like it, but you don't.
Yeah. But we do have to use sea salt. We don't use regular salt. We use sea salt in our kimchi, and just because of the wild fermentation requires it. So when you do cultured foods, the culture starter ensures that the vegetables don't go bad and they stay, you know, compact and they don't go bad. They really turn out to be good fermented food, whereas the sea salt in wild ferments works as a preservative, not to have those vegetables go bad. So that salt you will get, but otherwise, no, you know. But the biggest thing in gut healing diet, though, they do rely on healthy fats. Like they call them healthy fats, like they say grass-fed butter. I stay away from it because it's still dairy. That's something my body does not tolerate well. Coconut oil we use in our cooking, and then the red palm oil and extra virgin olive oil in salad dressing. But I know that in your community you don't use any extracted oils, right? Isolated oils. Yeah. So but you do eat avocado and nuts and seeds, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
so we just substitute that out because we saute, the only thing we saute with is water, vegetable broth, or white wine, those type of things. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's good though.
I know. No. I understand because I will make soups. And I don't start with sauteing. I just pour vegetable broth and then I'll add whatever I want to add. And I love soups like that. Yeah,
good. So, and I might even pronounce it wrong. So kombucha. So the drink. Do you do? Okay. Do you do that?
I do not drink kombucha.
Okay.
Because kombucha is a wild ferment, and it does have wild yeast in it.
Ah, okay.
And if you're dealing with yeast overgrowth, kombucha still contains some sugar that the yeast can feed off of. And also, if your body is already fighting yeast infection, then it can confuse the wild yeast in kombucha with the yeast it's fighting and cause the same immune reaction that you would have from normally, like yeast overgrowth.
Gotcha.
So, and kombucha was one of the things that I was sensitive to when I was tested. You know, my naturopathic doctor tested me for food sensitivities, and I know why, because of the yeast in it. But my husband, he's more into wild fermentation, and I'm more into cultured foods. So he makes kombucha, especially when the summer starts, summer and early fall. He makes kombucha on a regular basis, and he drinks it. And since he doesn't have those issues, he can easily drink it, and it really helps him with energy in summer when it's hot outside. We don't drink soda, we don't drink pop, we don't do any other those things. So it's his, summer drink. He mainly enjoys it in summer, in hot summer days especially.
So he drinks that instead of where other people drink Gatorade or something like that. So it's like energy drink.
He plays basketball. So my husband's actually vegetarian. So I was vegetarian as well until I developed these issues. So then I end up not being able to tolerate beans and lentils, the legumes and soy products. So I had to, replace them with animal protein, which I was so, against, because I believed in vegetarian diet, but now but I was so weak, and a little bit, and I don't eat a lot. I eat very small amount once a day, and they really helped me to build back my strength, because I was really weak. As I said, my muscles and my whole body was very weak. So my husband, he plays basketball. So before his basketball practice and after, he'll drink kombucha instead of Gatorade. Yeah, because it does have some electrolytes in it as well.
That's great. Great. All right. So you talked about, so you're selling these products and stuff. Are you going to actually start adding more products? And then eventually, can people buy those on the internet? Or what does that look like for others that are not in your area?
So, for now, so I have 2 children, and I am the only employee of the business. I'm involving my children to help me with the business, and my husband makes half of the products, but he makes kimchi and kraut, and I make kogurt, kefir, and garlic beets. So for now, I think we're going to stick with these. And then eventually we might open our own factory. We're looking into, so I could hire people and produce it as a bigger quantity, so we could distribute to more stores. But it's in the future. For now, I'm going to continue working on supplying the stores and just making the products as they are. So, slowly and steadily we're moving forward. But we have a vision that we'll have a little factory eventually, because I don't think I can handle the demand only by myself, not any longer, but in the long run when the products get, because people do experience healing. Like, we get very good reports from people who had yeast infections now that they're finally finding relief through consuming coconut products, and for people who have constipation or the other digestive issues, they find big relief from consuming the vegetables. So that's actually what feeds me, what really feeds my soul and helps me continue doing this. I'm like, yes, I see it as a win in some way. Yeah, that's what really motivates me when I hear people find healing through these products.
So can you actually buy your products though on the internet through your site?
No, because we don't. They're in jars, in glass jars, and they also have to be kept, in cool temperature.
Gotcha.
So we never looked into it because it's a a very big ordeal for us to look into that. So now we're just supplying local stores with them. And we have one in our neighborhood, which is in the north. We have them in the south, and we have one outside of Pittsburgh for people who live outside of Pittsburgh. So, and some people, if they order in bulk, they come and buy from our house as well, as we started at the beginning. So, but who knows? Eventually, when I have somebody who will be in charge of doing that, only we can venture out and have online store as well. You never know.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So as far as like if somebody's looking for, because they can't get your product, so maybe they're in Colorado or where I'm at and stuff. So if they wanted products like what you do, how would they go about it? Is there some did they go a body ecology diet to kind of start looking at recipes, or what would you suggest?
There is, if they want, so I always say make your own.
Yep.
Because it's much cheaper to make your own.
Yep.
But some people feel intimidated by the fermentation process. So when I first started, I felt intimidated as well, and I'm like, oh, is it going to turn out good, or healing, or the right bacteria in it? So, but I learned to trust that all is going well, and of course, I always say blessing before I put them into the fermentation process, and just trust that they're going to turn out the way they should. And but what the secret of learning how to make good fermented at home is just not to let the failure get you. So we had, at the beginning, we had a lot of batches that went bad. We had a batch with mold, we had a batch with calm yeast, we had a batch that was slimy and just not good, or with funky taste or funky smell to it. And we just kept going. We're like, okay, whatever, compost the vegetables, But we start with small batches.
Yep.
And we were mainly doing it for home, so we would just compost the vegetables and start another batch. And we learned what worked, that, okay, the temperature has to be the right one, or the vessels have to be clean, or, you have to see that the vegetables prior to fermenting don't have any mold on it.
Yep.
Like things like that, you eventually learn. So do not let failure get you. Continue fermenting your own, vegetables, because you will get the benefits from getting probiotics through ferments much more than getting them from capsules. And one of the examples would be Dr. Mercola, if you're familiar with him. He sent some of his fermented vegetables to a lab, and he found out that only 2 to 4 ounces of the vegetables he had contained the amount of good bacteria that you would get from a bottle of 100 capsules.
Wow.
And 2 to 4 ounces is not a lot.
Just a little bit.
You can eat it. Yeah, you can eat it within one day easily.
Yep.
But you cannot take a bottle of 100 capsules a day. It's impossible.
Yep.
How would you do that? So you get so much more for your buck if you actually get your probiotics through fermented foods.
Yep.
Okay. So the second thing is a lot of health food stores now carry them, and there is an online store. I'm not sure if they opened now or not, but there was another company. It was in Illinois, but now I heard that in California, and they're trying to start their factory there that sold kefir and kogurt, like young coconut water kefir and kogurt, young coconut yogurt, and they do online shipping.
Okay.
They do online shipping as well. And honestly, making kefir is the easiest out of them all, and it's actually the most healing when it comes to bringing the yeast overgrowth, down, and bring the yeast down, because it's the easiest. The kogurt part is more labor intensive because you have to extract the meat out, then you have to wash it, then you have to blend it, then you have to ferment it. That's like the 4-step process, which I enjoy now, but at the beginning I found very labor intensive and too much. I kept saying, I can't wait for him to be able to tolerate animal milk so I don't have to do it. But now I do it because I enjoy it. I want to, and now we do it for the business as well. So I actually have fun with it.
Good.
Whereas at the beginning, it was just a torture.
Lots of work.
Like, oh, yeah, lots of work, yeah. So as I say, like at the beginning with anything, you might find it not as fun, but eventually you end up liking it. And then there are a lot of stores online now that sell fermented foods as well. But as I always say, make your own.
Yep.
That's the best way. Yeah.
So are you going to ever put together a cookbook, or are you going to just stay with your products?
So I actually have a cookbook that I released. It's a Kindle, a Kindle cookbook. It's an ebook, and so we had so many foods that we had to stay away from. The foods that our bodies were reacting to, the foods that fed the yeast, the foods that were not, in the gut healing diet. So many foods that every time when he wanted, like one year he said, I want ice cream cake for my birthday. I'm like, what do I do now? So I had to go online, find a regular recipe, and then make it into a recipe that would work for us, that would not make us sick. So after 5 years of that, constant work, I developed over 100 recipes that I put into a book. So it's the name of the book is RX Cooking for Gut Health. You can actually find it on our website, prescriptionfoods.org. You'll see that the products we have and the book. And it's recipes free of gluten, sugar, dairy, soy, corn, peanuts, and eggs. All the big allergens that we had to stay away from. And it's all like the recipes that we came up with as a family, or most of them are by myself. And I mean, I had to spend so much time researching and altering recipes that had I saved that time to do something else, I would probably be more productive. But I had to go through to learn.
Yep.
And I wanted something that would help people to save time and not go through those avenues that I had to go through, and save time to do something other than exploring or cooking and things like that. So
wonderful.
I need to plug the computer very quickly.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you can talk. I'll just get the cord.
Okay.
So,
perfect.
yeah.
All right. So is there anything else that you'd like to be able to share with us today?
So I would say that one of the things that I recommend people is starting fermenting with the most simple thing, like cabbage.
Okay.
Because cabbage is the most forgiving, the most forgiving and the most versatile vegetable you can work with. So cabbage, raw cabbage, every raw vegetable they all have good bacteria actually growing on them. So just by eating raw vegetables, you already get good bacteria into your gut.
Good.
But when you ferment the cabbage, you do not only increase the probiotic bacteria count on it, but you also increase the nutritional value of the vegetables. When you ferment your vegetables, like vitamin C that you would normally get from cabbage, triples, or 10 times more you can get. Or other, like vitamin K or vitamin A, or what you would get from carrots. Like when you ferment them, it goes up, and then the absorbability of those nutrients become even much stronger, much easier for your body to absorb and retain. So I would say, if you decide to go and ferment your own thing, your own vegetables or your own products, start with cabbage, start with small batches, because you want to make sure that you don't you don't spoil all those good organic vegetables. And if you cannot afford organic vegetables, you can still ferment with conventional vegetables.
Yep.
Because the good bacteria that your fermented vegetables have eat up the pesticides. So they actually eat up the pesticides and make that food. And they actually can eat up the pesticides even in your body and take it out of you.
Nice.
So they are the scavengers that love the dirt, and then they take it out of you. So that's the thing I would say, like start with cabbage with small batches, and then you can add like in a variety of other vegetables you want into your cabbage, but use it as the base for your fermentation.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I so much appreciate it. It's a completely different world. I've not done much fermenting, so I love hearing about what you're doing and gut health and getting rid of cravings and all that. It's wonderful.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, if you want, I can mention a few benefits of the fermented foods.
Sure.
Just for people.
Yep.
Yeah, very quickly. So one of the benefits is that when you eat fermented foods with other meals, like with your protein or starch or whatever you're eating along with it, the good bacteria in fermented foods help break down the starches and the proteins and the fats in other foods and make them easier for your body to assimilate. So if eating, for example, meat with the sauerkraut would be one of the best examples, because people who have issues with stomach acid, like who have a lower hydrochloric acid in their stomach, they have a hard time digesting animal protein. But if you eat it with sauerkraut, then the sauerkraut breaks it down and helps it easier to be digested and absorbed. The second one would be, since they are raw, they supply your body with digestive enzymes and other enzymes as well. Then your body doesn't have to work as hard to really process the food and digest the food. And then your body can use that energy to do other things, like clearing out the toxins or rejuvenating your cells or repairing your immune system and all of those things. And number three would be that, as I said, they control cravings. So the sour taste of fermented foods is the antidote to sweet taste of the processed foods. So you end up actually losing your sweet tooth in the end. Like as I said, I enjoy more sour foods than sweet foods now. But it took some time. It doesn't happen overnight. Be patient with yourself. Don't beat yourself up if you slip off, and just get back and do better with your next meal, And they help heal your gut. So basically what they do is all those bacteria in the fermented vegetable come and clean out your gut of the bad bacteria. They actually eat them up and get them out of you, and then they establish their own territory. So with people who have yeast overgrowth, some people just do anti-yeast diet and antifungals, but then once they start feeding foods, their symptoms come back.
Yep.
Well, why do they come back? Because they did not establish the gut flora they need to keep the yeast under control. So along with antifungals and anti-candida diet, you need to add probiotics like fermented foods into your diet and eat them on a regular basis. So those good bacteria actually keep the yeast under control when it comes to the right balance, And then some foods are best eaten actually fermented because they have sugars and proteins that are hard to digest. One of them would be soy products. And a lot of vegetarians and vegans eat soy products, but the best ones to consume is sprouted tofu would be, and then tempeh and tamari, which is wheat-free soy sauce, and then also it's called what else is in miso,
Miso, yep.
Miso is another soy product that do have vegetarian proteins in them, but they are fermented and the phytic acid is removed, that then they are easier to digest. And another example would be sourdough bread. Instead of buying regular bread, like go with the sourdough bread because the gluten, that's protein in wheat, or whatever, another sour bread is, digested to the point that it will be easier for your body to assimilate. But it's for people who don't have sensitivities to gluten or allergies to gluten. Yeah. So fermentation really helps to increase the nutritional value of anything you ferment. Even, for example, we eat quinoa, but what we do with quinoa, I ferment it. Like you take a cup of quinoa and 2 cups of warm water and then a tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar. That really helps break down starches and sugars in quinoa and make it easier to digest. And also, and then when you cook it, you don't get as much starch, or it's easier to digest for your body, that then it doesn't feed the bad bacteria that you would normally get, because the yeast really loves feeding off of sugars and starches. So, ferment really helps with that as well.
Perfect.
Yeah, and the one of the, I think I find it very intriguing, fun things about fermentation, like they all talk about this mercury in salmon or in other fish. But if you eat it along with some of the fermented vegetables, the good bacteria actually eat up the mercury, the heavy metals, and take it out of your body. So you still can enjoy it. So I always recommend, if you go for fish, go with wild caught. You can enjoy your fish without, if you eat it with your fermented fish, without worrying about that, oh my goodness, mercury in it is going to cause problems in my body. So it's amazing when you start looking into what they do in your body. It's just, I love it. I mean, I think everyone should eat it. I grew up eating it. That's why I think I was healthy until I had to take the antibiotic,
Yeah. Darn antibiotics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm not against them, don't get me wrong. And when you in life-saving situation, I think they do help. But in this country, they're abused and overused.
I agree. Fully agree. Well, thank you so much, Jenetta. I really appreciate all the information you shared. There was a lot of really, really good information. It's more than I knew about fermenting, so it's fabulous. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank
I'm
you.
happy that I met your need.
Thank you very much.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Well, everybody today, thank you so much. And Jenetta, thank you once again for the fermenting. So definitely go on her website and read more information. Look for her cookbook. So prescriptionfoods.org, which is a great one. Is that correct? Prescriptionfoods.org?
Yes.
Perfect. Yep, follow her on that. And I hope someday that you do get your factory and get everything going and can ship across the United States, because it sounds wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kelly.
Thanks.
Nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you too. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.